thank you very much for joining me. You are the first guest on the red sofa.
Really?
Yes.
It is actually a red sofa as well.
It is red.
It's no trade. It's not going to get done under the Trade Descriptions Act. Wine red. If it's the guitar community, they say wine red because most guitarists can't differentiate between one glass of wine and another. It is Genraro, but a lot of people say Genraro, and to be honest, I've given up trying to correct them, so I'll just leave it. But Genraro generally, but that's because I chose my name, so I chose how to pronounce it.
Your second name, or is that your musical name?
It's my musical name, because I changed my name by Deepole a long, long time ago, to do with shamanism. Yeah, but if you change your name, you change your destiny apparently, and then you have to forget your old name and your old self. You have to basically forget everything from the past, and just.
Did it work when you changed your name? Did it?
It's hard to say really, because unless I could go back again in the time machine and see what happened if I didn't change my name, it's really quite hard to say whether it changed my name or not, changed my destiny or not. But I like to think it did, because I think people to kind of grow into their name. I'll be sad and low if you go, if you go. I'll be sad and low. I'll be sad and low if you go, if you go. I'll be sad and low. Run from the authorities, you understand? It's just for shamanic purposes. We negate our energy if we bring our old selves back into the equation.
Yeah, probably you would have become a bookkeeper or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. That could have happened.
Yeah.
You know, my old name would have suited me as some sort of clerical worker. You know, some sort of white collar aspect to the job. You know, sitting behind a desk, pushing paper, pushing pencils, and sort of just being a middleman somewhere in the grey world of clerical boredom.
Does Genraro actually mean anything? Is it symbolic of something?
If you rearrange the letters, it means orange because that's what it spells. It is an anagram of the word orange. The Carlos Castaneda books about the teachings of Don Juan, which is again to do with shamanism, and that's where he was like my character. Genraro was very much like myself in personality, so that was the perfect name to take on.
Fantastic.
And no one knows whether Genraro actually existed or not, or any of those characters. Some people believe that they did. I like to think they did, and that they're real people, because that ties in very nicely with the teachings. Because if you believe those characters aren't real, then it kind of you might as well not believe the teachings either.
Yeah.
Gennaro's he was a lovely character. He's the kind of guy, if he found something funny, he'd throw his hat on the floor and start jumping up and down on it.
Yeah.
So a bit like me.
Yeah.
Probably don't have a hat at the moment.
No.
I'll be sad and low. All the things that I could do, there's just no getting over. The things I put you through, just try to make it better.
Yay!
There it is.
I love that.
It was a bit ropey round the throat there, but
that's brilliant. This whole sort of shamanistic approach to life for you is obviously it's a big thing if you change your name.
Yeah.
Are these sort of values that you live by then? Is it kind of a way of life for you?
Definitely. I mean, I can't pretend that I live by all the disciplines, because if I did, no one would see me, and I wouldn't be doing music, and I wouldn't have any friends.
You'd be because the
path of the sorcerer or the shaman is a solitary path. But I think you can take on some of the values and use them to help you live a better life, a more constructive life, and a more energetic life, and you can take energy in and push it out again. And if you do that, you can apply those principles to your everyday life and have a good, a successful life, a happy, productive life, and also, pass that on to people around you. So I tend to just take on some of the values and use it in a normal existence, whereas if I was actually to follow the path of the shaman, I'd have to leave the normal existence behind.
Yeah.
And I can't do that because I'm too much of a social being.
Yeah.
I try and apply some of the values to my life. I know that when I first got into the shamanism and I read the Castaneda books, I knew that I could never be down again. I could never be, we all get our off days, but I could never be permanently down because there's just too much there's too much great stuff in the universe to, to not be excited about it.
Yeah.
There's too many undiscovered things and too many hidden truths and all kinds of magic out there to be discovered.
Yeah.
And I like to think I've been a party to it on a couple of occasions, and that's given me enough energy and power and hopefully wisdom to carry on my life in a good way, inspirational, productive way, trying to just do something good with the time that I've been blessed with.
Mm. Obviously, when you're playing, you get so caught up in it. It's wonderful to watch, and it is spiritual because it affects people when they watch. It affected me as I was watching it. So for you, is it like almost like a spiritual?
On a good gig, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Like last night, as an example, at the Grove, I just felt completely relaxed and totally in the zone, and I felt like I was infinitely powerful when I was on the stage.
Yeah.
But there's other times when you're just kind of hanging on for dear life. You're just kind of like riding a crazy horse, and you haven't really got control. And then it might not be quite as spiritual then, but you're still having a good giggle, and you might be working the crowd and getting a good buzz off it. But it's like you're not quite connected. You're just kind of way. I've had a few of those. I've had plenty of those gigs.
Yeah.
I don't seem to have awful gigs anymore. I used to have a few awful gigs. Now I just have. I either have a spiritually fulfilling gig or a kind of way gig. But some of the way gigs are brilliant, and people come up and they like it and they've had a good time, and I think, blimey, I just about managed to hold it together.
Yeah. But that sort of creates balance, doesn't it? It creates a balance if it was all kind of just or if it was all kind of just spiritual. But you couldn't.
I don't think you could sustain the energy to have a perpetual amount of both, because they both take a lot of. If you have two good gigs in a row, then really, you are high as a kite, but that energy's got to go somewhere.
Yeah.
And I think then if you were to have 10 of those spiritual gigs in a row, you'd probably just blow up and you turn into pure energy, and you'd return to the source of everything. And then if you had too many wahey gigs, then you just start to lose the plot. So you've got to strike a balance between wahey and oh. I might have got a bit of biscuit in there then. Well, it's all in the tongue, I suppose. It's in the tongue. It's in the tongue motion, I suppose. But it's. Can
you do it?
Well, it's like if you can whistle and if you can do this, it's a bit like that. Or if you say "wow," then it's that.
Yeah.
It's a similar sort of mouth shape.
Yeah.
To doing that, and once you figure that out, I mean, it took me quite a few months to figure that out. But I do teach harmonica, and I've taught people, and I've given them those little tips, and they've been able to do it within a few minutes. So there was no one around to teach me to do that, because the only harmonica player that I knew at the time who could have possibly taught me was completely insane. He was brilliant. I mean, he was absolutely brilliant, but he was absolutely nuts. He was bonkers, this guy. I brought a duo because I thought you might like to share.
Thank you.
Snickers is the only chocolate I really like, and of course the chocolate aficionados out there will say, well, it's not even proper chocolate. Well, I don't care what they think because I like it. And Snickers, when I'm on the road and I'm in a hurry, because I did years of doing driving jobs, the Snickers was just the thing. You run in any shop, you know there's going to be a Snickers, and then I would invariably try and find a bottle of ginger beer to go with it, and it's the perfect little, drive along and have that thing. And they are quite filling for what they are, and I just love the combination of Snickers and ginger beer together. This is botanically brewed, proper good ginger beer with sediment in it. It's got a bit of sediment in it. And it is just, because yes, it says upend before pouring, and that's the good gear, that is.
Yeah.
That's the good gear. But I'll be quite happy with a bit of Jamaica or what have you. I'm not a ginger beer snob, so to speak, but I rather like these bottles, they're very shapely.
Yeah. Very nice.
Whoever might have said this, I never stick to it, because at the time I think that's a good idea, and then when I get on stage I think, I can't possibly do that now.
Yeah, it doesn't feel right.
I'll get lynched.
Yeah.
You might have to edit this bit out.
Might have.
about 17, my friend bought me a harmonica, and I went around bugging the crap out of people for a few months probably before I learned to get any decent notes out of it. When you learn to bend a note, and then you suddenly like, hey, that's that blues sound, that's the blues sound, I bent the note. And I still remember where I was when I first bent the note. I was actually on the Isle of Wight ferry, on the bottom deck where all the cars are.
Yeah.
Health and safety dictates you're not allowed to be down there anymore, but back in those days you could go down there, you could have a fag, you could poke around in the engines, you could pull the chain, you could flipping let off the horn, chuck the lifeboats over the side, shut up old ladies, chase dogs.
But maybe that's good because you found your own way with it. Because
when
you play, it does, to me, it almost sounds like the tone is so pure. It's like, sometimes it's like a violin playing.
I was inspired by Larry Adler, and he's a classical player who didn't have a lot of time for the blues harmonica, but it was all about tone for him, and his tone is just like that. You'd think sometimes you hear him play the harmonica. There's a classic example if you listen to on Sting's album, I think it's the album that's the 10 Summoners Tales, the song that's called Shape of My Heart. Which
I love that. That's my favourite.
The harmonica on there is played by Larry Adler, and a lot of people don't even know that it's harmonica because it's. Some people might think it's always quite close to the female voice or a violin or something, but it's just a lovely sound. That's a harmonica. And I always wanted to get that tone, even though I don't really play chromatics. I used to play chromatics all the time, but they're expensive, they go wrong quite easily, and the way I tend to bash things and batter things around in my life, they don't live a very long and fruitful life with me, so, it's blues harps all the way. Plus the fact I do love to play the blues as well, so. But I can still squeeze a really nice, kind of Larry Adler-esque tone out of one of those harmonicas. So I suppose you could say that he did inspire my tone, but my tone isn't exactly the same as his. But a lot of people have said I've got the best tone they've ever heard.
Yeah.
So also, I must be doing something right.
You do the beatboxing as well, which is is that something that
I think that's another thing that Larry Adler didn't do.
Yeah, exactly.
He should have done. He should have got into that.
Yeah.
Be like yo. The thing is about the beatbox is that I probably did that before I did anything else, because I seem to remember starting the beatbox when I was about 13 in the flukiest way possible. Never with the intention of going on stage. In fact, I don't think I was even aware of what I was doing. But my dad had this very old, I believe it was like a Sanyo, one of the first. It wasn't a Walkman, because Sony Walkman, that's like a trademark, right? And I'd always be listening to the War of the Worlds album, the Jeff Wayne's musical War of the Worlds, one of my favourite albums of all time. And I'd always listen to that on this thing. And what this thing had was a little button that when you pressed it, it activated a microphone. And the microphone was only there so that if people you've got the headphones on, while they're talking, you can hear what they're saying, and it comes through the microphone and into your ears. Yeah. So you don't have to take the headphones off. It's just a little,
Yeah.
And what I discovered was when you put the microphone on and just put it up to your gob and you did weird noises, it sounded brilliant through the headphones. And I used to start doing that along with the War of the Worlds. And it sounded great. And I just used to do it a lot. And I just, and I wasn't aware, but that was like early human beatbox. And that was when I was, let's just go back to, it would have been like, late 70s.
Yeah.
Seriously, not even joking, late 70s. before I even went to like big school or anything. You know, so I was always like just doing beats all the time, but only just for amusement. I know, you know. And even when I used to sing a lot around the house as well. But if someone had said to me, "Oh yeah, you should be on the stage, you should be in a band," I would have laughed at them. I was way too shy to do any of that sort of stuff. I just used to like doing these things to amuse myself. You know, so yeah, that's the kind of early background of it, really.
Yeah. So when did you start writing songs? And
Well, I think I wrote my first song when I was about, I'm going to hazard a guess here and say about 20, and it was an exercise in songwriting just to see if I could do it. I'd sussed out 4 chords on the guitar when I was around about sort of 17, 18. By the time I was mid-20s, I still had 4 chords on the guitar. I didn't have any more than that, but you know. But when I was around about 20, I think, and I was going out with a woman who was twice my age, which was a nice experience. And yeah, I just decided to see if I could write a song as a songwriting exercise, and I wrote this song called Can't Let You Go, which I still play in sets today.
Yeah.
A lot of people come up and say, "There's a really lovely song that's really moving, who did you write that for?" I was like, well, I didn't really, I have to be brutally honest with you, I just wrote it to see if I could write a song. I did support David Essex, in 2009.
David, he's my twinkly-eyed, he was my idol when I was a young girl.
Yeah, to a lot of people, you know, I did become the subject of a lot of sort of, I'd say middle-aged women's affections when I was on that tour, just because they thought they could get closer to David through me.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, in some cases I was happy to let them think that. No, I'm joking. I totally am. But what would happen is if they would accost me sort of at the, backstage or outside the building and say things like, "Oh, are you going to see David tonight?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, I'll probably see him." And they're like, "Oh, can you give him this?" And they baked him a cake or they've knitted him a jumper. You know, it's all like homemade goodies, or a bottle of this or a bottle of that, and I'd have to take it through to him, and I'd go knock on his door, and he'd just be laughing, going, "What have they brought for me this time? Then what have they got?" And he'd just like, put it on the side with all the other stuff, and he's just got this, accruing mass of things that he's got from these adoring fans. But I actually got one of the women actually made me something as well. Now I think was it a jumper or a scarf? It was something knitted. Yeah. So David got one and I got one as well. So that was nice because then I felt like I'd been sort of brought into the inner sanctum.
Yeah.
I met a voice coach in London recently for The Voice, and he's had 2 #1 hits from that he's written because he writes songs for people. He's had 2 #1 hits. I think he wrote one for Blue and one for might have been JLS or Talisa or something like that. Yeah. Anyway, he wrote 2 songs and he doesn't play any instruments. This guy just literally sings, and he just gets in a studio with someone else and just literally sings a song and gets them to come up with the music. But he's written 2 #1 hits without being able to play an instrument.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so it's, it just goes to show what can be done. But he's obviously a great singer, and he's actually a vocal coach.
Yeah.
To do the stars.
Yeah.
So he
How
couldn't do a lot with me.
Your whole sort of journey's been, it feels like it's been sort of quite an organic kind of process, and then suddenly you find yourself in a sort of commercial setup.
Being processed
and having that, that input from somebody else who's a voice coach and all that. How did you find that?
Actually, when I first met the voice coach, because I thought, he's going to be all over me, he's going to absolutely shred me, because I'd heard stories from other people about what it's like when they think they're good singers, and all of a sudden they stand in front of the voice coach, and the voice coach just tears them a new one, basically.
Yeah.
So I thought, here we go, look. But afterwards, the guy said, "You've got the best falsetto I've ever heard," and he was all over my voice. He said, "Yeah, I really like it when you push the loud stuff out and blah blah blah." And he was really complimentary. He had some things to say about my breathing, and the fact that he obviously spotted I was asthmatic, and he obviously spotted the fact I was a smoker. Even if you know your voice is going to crack and explode, just go for it anyway.
Yeah.
It's better to do that and still have the energy of the performance than it is to shy away thinking I'm not going to be able to hit those notes.
Yeah.
I'd rather go for the notes and fail. Than not go for the notes, So when you hear me, it's warts and all with the performance, and on a good night, everything will just be flowing, and I'll be the king of it all.
Yeah.
Chicken train.
So what was that moment like for you when you got out onto the stage? Was it just like any other gig, or was there a pressure for you, or how did you feel it went for yourself?
It was kind of surreal. I mean, I guess once it started, it was just like another gig. I was a little bit nervy before it started, but no more than any other gig. I I wasn't any more nervy. It wasn't like I don't remember thinking this is the biggest moment of my life or anything like that. You know, like a lot of people do.
Yeah.
I was just like, no, I'm just going to go out there. It's just another gig. I mean, how many gigs have I done by this point? I've done thousands of gigs, and this is just another gig.
Yeah.
You know, but obviously I'm aware of the enormity of the situation when I'm bouncing around on stage like an idiot, and the 4 guys haven't turned round yet, and I'm like, I can't even remember how many that room holds, but it's at least 1,000, and the room, you know, every seat is full. There's a lot of vibe. It's very hot under the lights, obviously. So you're high as a kite, but then also there's this feeling in the pit of your stomach like they haven't turned around, and at the end of it, it's this weird sort of happy, sad thing of, oh God, I didn't make it, but oh, that was a brilliant, and everyone's, you know, and it's very strange. It's like you float, you know, you're kind of suspended. You're halfway between the two things, you know, and you can't go either way. You can't be totally elated, and you can't be completely down in the dumps, you know. And then I was high as a kite for a few days afterwards, really, with the whole thing, despite the fact that I didn't get through, you know.
If you played one of your songs that you've just played, you know, you would have got through it. I would have turned my chair.
Well, thank you. I wish you'd been on the judges.
I know, I should have been. You never know. If Kylie gets bored of it.
You're listening to the voice, and ideally, you know, you want to be able to compare it with something you've heard. You know, if you're the judge, it's no use, you know, unless you've heard the song, you won't know how well they're doing it.
Yeah.
You know, because the argument is, if you get up and do one of your own songs and someone criticises you on it, you can go, yeah, well, it's meant to be like that. It's just my song, leave me alone.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
You know, so yeah, the voice, it's not that kind of format. But having said that, I mean, I would have loved the opportunity to do one of my own songs on there. That would have been awesome. And if that had been an option, that's what I would have obviously done.
Yeah.
Still true. If destroyed, still true.
So when you went and sat in will.i.am's chair, was that planned or was that just in a moment?
No,
it just happened.
No, it wasn't planned. It was just. I think I needed to sit down after all that running around, to be honest. I just needed to sit down. You know, I'm 42 years old.
Yeah.
You know, people tell me I'm in reasonable shape, but but I don't, you know, I don't know. No, I was just, you know, it's just random. It just kind of popped up. It wasn't really, no, nothing was planned. You know,
that was so funny, and him up on the stage suddenly like a little.
He's great.
Boy.
He's such a good guy for just playing along, you know, because he didn't have to. He could have sat there all poker faced and just. My pleas could have fallen on deaf ears, and that would have been awful.
Yeah.
You know, and if they kept, oh, I really want to sit in your chairs, and everyone was just like, it's not going to happen, matey boy. You stay there, we'll stay here. Do you know what I mean?
You're the only person who's actually managed to sit in one of the judges' chairs.
Well, I think there was a kid that did it.
Was there?
I mean, yeah, but it wasn't the kid. The kid wasn't singing, but I think the kid was the child of someone else who was singing on there in the previous series. In fact, I did get slated for that in the newspaper. They're like, oh yeah, Genraro said he wanted to sit in the judges' chairs, blah blah blah, and. But the last person that did that was just a kid, as if to say, well, Gennaro's just a big kid. Well, yeah, actually, you hit the nail on the head. Yes, I am a big kid. Thanks very much. I enjoyed sitting in those chairs, and I'm proud of it. And I'll do it again tomorrow, given half a chance. But I'd have to get past security. Chicken Train was just something I just trumped up. It wasn't really anything. It was just me farting around, really. And when I did that on the stage, it was just because I you know, honestly, I don't even know what possessed me, really. It certainly wasn't rehearsed or pre-planned or anything. When I decide to do something, I just do it. But I'm also aware of the fact that if you're going to do something where you're possibly aware in the back of your mind that the band might join in because they're a house band and they're obviously very good, you have to do something they're going to be able to join in very quickly with. So I started doing the reggae chops. They kind of came in on it. They were like, they might have been in the wrong key for the first half a bar or something until they realised what I was doing.
Yeah.
Because I was reggae chopping it up on the harmonica. A lot of people aren't used to the reggae chop on the harmonica. That's kind of one of my things. So they don't necessarily spot straight away which key you're playing in until you hit the blues root note, and then they suss it out. Well, these guys sussed it out really quick because they're really cool. Yeah. Proper good house band. You know, very professional and just superb to work with. And just at the moment I started doing that, they joined in. But at the time, I remember larking around with it for a bit, but I don't remember I don't remember it being ace. I just remember it being a bit of fun and the crowd were loving it. Yeah. I certainly wasn't expecting them to show it on the telly. Yeah. I was very surprised. And even then, even if they'd said, oh yeah, we're going to show that on the telly because that was fun, even if they'd said that, I would have still been thinking, yeah, but everyone's going to hate it. They're not going to like it. All of a sudden, everyone loves the Chicken Train. Yeah. And I'm like, no one is more baffled than me about the whole thing. If anyone's sitting there going, how come this bloke's bloody got so much time on the telly to do that shitty old Chicken Train song, you know, And how come we got more time on the telly than those people? You know, well, the thing is, everyone gets 15 minutes from the time you walk onto the stage and start singing till the time you walk off the stage after hanging out with a celebrity. You get 15 minutes with the celebrities. That's a long time. Yeah. The fact that I got 10 minutes in my edit was down to the editor. It wasn't down to me.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm very flattered.
Yeah.
Chicken train! It's something I've farted around with before. Just randomly. It was just something that I had as just a... Because of the fact that I can make a chicken noise with the harmonica.
Yeah.
He said, getting the harmonica to demonstrate. Because you can do that, and you can also go... And because I played with a band called the Jimmy Hillbillies, who do a cover of the Ozark Mountain Daredevil song Chicken Train, I just had this thing where I just mess around with the harmonica and just doing a bit of Chicken Train, messing around with some beats. There was no concept of a song there as such, that was just me messing around. Only after the voice, when everyone really liked it, I decided to record Chicken Train and maybe put it into the public consciousness. But we haven't done it the same as we did on The Voice. We've done it as a dance track, because that's how it turned out.
Yeah.
Everything in my life seems to happen quite organically, and this was no exception. I went around the guy's house, recorded some noises and some shouts and some whoops and some whistles on the microphone in about 5 minutes, and then I buggered off to wherever I was going next, and then he kind of created this track. The track is so good, but it all kind of happened, you know, he did all hard work, Aunt Lewis, but before that there was no real, from my point of view, there was no real Chicken Train. It was just me making two noises on the harmonica, throwing some beats down and just generally acting the fool.
Yeah.
So there wasn't really anything. The video is gorgeous. The video just totally captures how jolly everyone was the other day when we had this random bit of sunshine. And throughout the whole week it had just been hammering it down with rain, and then the sun comes out, we do this video shoot. As soon as we finished, it starts raining again. And so we had this little window, of the gods.
So lucky.
It was like summer. It was actually like summer. And we did the formation dance. I had to invent and choreograph
this
chicken
new
dance.
Chicken dance. I can't wait to see that.
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. It goes against everything I believe in, but it had to be done for the song. I do want world peace. I know I said it on The Voice and people probably thought, yeah, what a cheesemonger, but actually I do want world peace. But it's all about the tone for me, you know, the harmonica. It should be about finding the most beautiful tone, something that's just going to make people weep. I mean, I'll get involved in anything that sounds like it's a half decent cause, you know. I wouldn't say I'm into the adopt a snow leopard thing or whatever, because, you know, if you adopt a snow leopard, unless you actually see the snow leopard, have you adopted a snow leopard? You know, where's the snow leopard? If I've adopted a snow leopard, I want to see it. Yeah. You know, I want to sit it on my lap and stroke it, and it's probably bite my hand off, but you know what I'm saying? It's been a very comfortable sofa, actually.
Isn't it? You could sleep on this one.
I would actually, yeah.
Many people have.
Well, if I do a gig at your house, I'll make the exception and just crash on the settee. As long as I haven't got to share with 5 hippies.
Yeah.
4 hippies. I'll draw the line at 5. 4 hippies is okay. You know, you can have 2 hippies each side, but you don't want a hippie on top.
No, that's certainly not.
Unless they're, well, never mind. If they're a really hot hippie, you might make the excuse. You might make the exception, but then you've got, you know, explaining to do to your girlfriend.
Yeah. Song about badgers to come?
Well, no, because the badgers do feature in the Chicken Train. I'm not saying I wouldn't write a song about a badger, but it would have to be the right song. Yeah. I wouldn't just do it for the sake of it, but if the perfect badger song came up, I'd have to do it, you know, because the songs write themselves. Yeah. You know, if a badger song was going to come out, it would come out.
Yeah.
You know, I've written pigeon songs, chicken songs, songs about PlayStations, PlayStation Hero. You know, it's funny. I never thought I'd have another ball and chain around my ankle that wasn't PlayStation Hero. Yeah. Because PlayStation Hero was always the ball and chain. It was always the song everyone's like, Genraro, do PlayStation Hero. Now it's all about Chicken Train. Yeah. PlayStation Hero's been forgotten.
I want to hear that one.
It's the next single. That will be. It's already recorded and done and ready. It's the next single, and it is great.
Yeah.
PlayStation Hero, it is a classic. I mean, so it's a future classic as far as I'm concerned, because so many people seem to like that song. If it had the right marketing, I think it would do really well. If it didn't, it'll always just be one of those culty things. Everyone will go, oh, do you remember that bloke Genraro used to play the mouth organ? Yeah, that weird song about those, what were those things called? Those things you used to plug into the television. That's PlayStation. Oh, yes, PlayStation Hero. Wasn't it a great little song? There's only 2 chords, as I recall, but very, 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 very uplifting. Nice beat. Really, really get a groove onto it. And so that sort of thing. So, next single.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for being on my sofa.
You're very welcome.
And I enjoyed the ginger beer and the Snickers.
I'm glad you like that combo.
Yeah.
It's my travel. It's the travel combo.
Yeah. Fantastic. Thanks, Si.
Thank you. Getting attacked by a bee. Messy.
That's brilliant.